Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Welcome to Footwork.
All right, we're going for a rolling start here. We have on Footwork today, Evin Nadaner. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. It's mostly good. I mean, like, no, I don't think anybody's actually got. I don't think anybody gets my name like completely right. You know, there's like a lot of odd, breaks. Nadaner. Sure. I don't know. It feels like
I can't imagine one teacher ever said that right.
Oh God, no. I mean, and people are like EVI, like with an I. I'd be like, you do like it. I obviously didn't do it. It wasn't my decision.
Make my name.
I wouldn't have made that decision. I wouldn't have made that decision.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, Evin is still like, you can't really, even if you see it with an I, you can't fuck that up.
That's true. I mean, that's true. But people are like really, really confused and always look at me and like always kind of think I'm foreign, I guess, with the last name, even though it's kind of as phonetic as you can get. But people think like, oh, they Nadaner instead of just like Nadaner.
Yeah, they go even farther.
Straightforward Nadaner. Yeah, you were going with like, oh, I played in Europe. I must be European.
A foreign spice, you know. You played a few seasons in Germany.
So you guys like training at all?
Yeah, so we are allowed to train right now.
We can cut that.
No, it's good.
We do we do it. We have to do a COVID test every other day. My team, we can't have contact, so it's just like passing drills and shooting drills, basically. Like today, we played soccer, tennis. It's like 3 sections of 3 small groups. I mean, it is what it is. Dylan, his team was able to get
it super seriously.
Yeah, they take it super seriously in Germany. Yeah, especially because like right now it looks like we're in like a third wave. So
yeah,
Sean and I don't think our season's going to be going for like this season's going to be continued. They're just going to scratch it and we'll start again. What is it, July or for whatever for the next season?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You never know in this country, you know.
Right.
Yeah, you don't. And I thought it was going to be the safest. I was like, oh, sure, like Germany's going to be back open. I was in Madrid, like it's like it's mask themed. Like they're playing, everybody's playing, the world's open. It's just like with a mask. But like Germany, like I thought with the way they were taking it serious in the beginning, they would be playing with fans now because there was fans like a good part of the season. Even when I was at Oberneurland for like a hot minute, and then right after the last season.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them like making an announcement, oh, there wouldn't be fans at the next game. And I was like, fans? Like that's even a thought. I guess they did have it. But
yeah, it is crazy. When I a couple summer games, there was like they allowed selective seating and then they just pulled it straight away. So
yeah, in the beginning there was fans, but yeah, whatever. It's not.
And what's the outlook for next season, anyways? Like, I mean, like not what are the plans? I'm sure you guys don't like gossip about it every other minute.
Oh no, we definitely gossip. We definitely gossip
about this season, though.
Yeah, it's more about this season.
Because there's.
Yeah, I mean, like what is it gonna end and what's gonna happen?
They don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what everyone gossips about is relegation, promotion.
That's the $1 million question. Like
no
my team could be the ones that get relegated. We're towards the bottom, and then like the team in second place in our league, which played like 9 games, they might have a chance to play in the 3rd league next year, which is just
insane.
Crazy.
Wild.
And they were in the Oberliga last year. So
is it Teutonia?
Yeah,
Teutonia.
They applied for the license. I was like, well, that's cute. That's real cute that they're going to apply for the license.
They don't even have a field.
Like, come on.
They
don't.
I was like, it's some wishful thinking. That's some think of America. Bill it if they will come, I guess. Must be
that's crazy. So let's rewind now that we just did a little rolling start there. Evin, New York native. I knew you for quite a long time now. You played with my older brother. But the dedication to the game, you started. So that was in Massapequa, which is in Long Island, and you traveled from the city to Massapequa, from my understanding, for every training, which is like a crazy commute. And at what age did you move to that team?
Oh man, actually, really funny that it all comes full circle because the guys I'm with at New Amsterdam are the guys I left. So like I left, for example, my friends like Cord, who are on New Amsterdam, BB, Mackey, all of them were on the kickers,
Right.
as well as, Danny Isroff,
And
Alex Sandler,
Alex, yeah.
Ahmad, like that kind of group. I left that group to go to Long Island because Alex left, and I kind of followed along, and they were like in the state cup conversation. So I went from like just kind of playing for fun to like something that actually was real. And everybody, that American exceptionalism, we all like dream of doing something with football, even when at a young age, but it became kind of like a real thing when I went to Massapequa. And I didn't even know it was a real thing. But I kind of just, not in a naive way, but like you're kind of working hard very naively, not knowing what it really can do and what you're actually doing. Cause like what I was actually doing was insane. Like it was actually insane. I would have school in the city 8 to 3:30 every single day, which means I had to leave my house about 6, just because I lived in the Bronx and I had to go up to the middle of Manhattan or even downtown Manhattan. Then I would go after school. I would get done at 3:30 and I would have practice. I'd have to catch the train at Penn Station 5:13 every single day. So I'd have no time to really do any homework. I would take the train. We were 3 kids. There was no chance we were doing homework on the train. Like, come on, let's be real. We were just talking bullshit, and we were eating Cinnabon. Like that was like what was going to happen.
That was life.
We had Danny who was trying to lead us do some work, and I was like, okay, come on, man, like I got training in like 45 minutes, I'm probably not going to do any work. And then so we train, it was like 6 to 8:30, and then by the time we got home, it was sometimes we get picked up or you take the train, and I would get home at like 11:30. There was no chance I was doing work after that. Like I was exhausted and I had to wake up at 6. So you do that, like, but you don't realize you're like kind of doing something crazy. You're just you were told to do it and it made sense, the right team. And then luckily you kind of realize what you're doing as you're doing it. Luckily being in the situation, I think part of it reminds me of like your situation. Like you guys are in like a big league, and like I don't know if you realized it, and then all of a sudden you kind of catch on. Like you played against Leverkusen. And like, I don't know if you caught that until you played it, and then you're like, oh, like this is real. Like I could do this. Like, and also it makes sense. Like it's kind of paying off as you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So things started to work. You were getting a little better. You started playing in games you never really thought about, and you're playing with better players. And so it kind of all made sense in the end. But going from New York to Massapequa just for soccer at that age with the outlook didn't make much sense. But I'm glad it did, because of just where it set me up for the next steps.
For sure.
And meet some good friends and kind of broaden your horizons, I guess.
Right.
In Massapequa.
Yeah. Burns Park. And then
Burns Park, right.
and then from there you went to Boston College, correct?
Boston University, but
Boston University.
I like to tell people I go to Boston College.
Yes, Boston University. And how was that experience for you?
It was exactly what it should have been in a lot of ways, because I didn't have like I had not a lot of success in the beginning, but it taught me what not having success was. And like early on, I learned the feeling of being on the bench, and it was the worst feeling I ever had in my life. And I was like, well, that's never going to happen again, ever. And like, from that moment, like my freshman year, I think the first real game I didn't play, and I looked around and I was like, yeah, this is the worst. Like this is disgusting. We won a game and I was like, yeah, fuck the team. Like you had that really horrible feeling in your head. I was like, great, we won, but like I didn't even see I didn't even warm up. It was that feeling, and I was like, okay, well, that's not gonna happen again. And then you kind of start buying in, obviously becoming a team player, but mostly like I bought into like that feeling is not gonna happen again. Like I'm not gonna let that happen. And so I really, really grinded, I guess. But the good thing I got was I went to college a semester early. Instead of my second semester of senior year, I went to college, and it was really good to like get me ready, because coming from the clubs we came from, which were nothing, like you need that incubation time. I needed a lot of incubation time, even in college, just to like kind of become myself. And figure out what type of player I was and what was working for me, what type of workouts worked for me. Because like now the kids are ready to go to college. The kids are like ready to perform and go pro from like under 19. Like I was not even close, dude. Like I couldn't do anything. I was like, you were good enough. I was really athletic and had some good things, but I wasn't a real player. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know how to play. And so I needed like that first little bit of not success to like push me forward. And honestly, it was great I met Kylie, which is, I can't take anything away from that because I met the girl that I've been with for the last 10 years, and she's pretty awesome. You guys met her. So she's pretty cool.
First guest
Yeah,
on
we met
Footwork.
her. We met her on Zoom. We met her on Zoom.
It's like, I think everybody says that. Every relationship now, like in 5 years, be like, how'd you meet? I met on Zoom during the pandemic. So good. We're in good company, but I met her there. I didn't really want to go there. Like, I wanted to go to Georgetown, and that would have made more sense for me as a player. But things didn't work out at my school as much as it did, which I tell the kids that I work with how much school matters. But I ended up BU fit me more as a person in a lot of ways, like just as kind of the way it was a little more personal, was in the city. And I took steps. And then by the end of it, obviously, like senior year, I had probably the most minutes in the team, but then I was also more ready to to play in like Europe, or I was more ready to take a chance because of not with the way college did it, but the facilities and the situation I could put myself in, I think got me ready to play in Europe. Like I was like, I didn't have I was ready to be like disappointed almost, you know, because sometimes like, if you're not ready to be disappointed, if you're not like prepared mentally to like, don't go in there hoping you're going to be disappointed, but I was ready and I felt what scars felt like. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely going to take this chance because I didn't care. I knew what failure was in my head. So I was like, all right, now I'm ready. So I'm glad. I mean, I hate most of the people that were there, and like the coaches, like it wasn't a greatest coaching staff. And, you know, it was I love Neil Roberts. I do, but like, he was college. Like he told us to get 20 corners when we won the game. I was like, oh great, dude, thanks. Like, I guess we'll do that. Like, wasn't really where I wanted to be, but I enjoyed the bad parts of it too.
Of course. Now, like, did you just growing up as a kid in the city and then even in Boston College, did you always
Boston
have
University.
like a dream where you kind of sorry, Boston University, my
We'll
bad.
go with Boston
Sean-
College. It's much better.
Sean's got me all messed up from the last name to the college. No, but did you have like a vision that you wanted to play like from an early age? Did it come when you were at Boston University, or like when did that come about?
Well, I'm an only child, so everything I do is great. So I kind of but like I had an idea, like as small successes go, and like towards the end of college, you start playing with like other groups, and like you get a little bit of recognition, and you start having the idea, like some people start telling you, oh, you can do this. And like, I think one summer, what was it? Yeah, my freshman year, there's going to my sophomore year when I played like a men's team, like Long Island Rough Riders, actually. Remember Long Island Rough Riders?
Yeah, we played together.
When they were
With
like
Schmitty.
amazing.
Yeah, and the PDL.
But like when they were amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was like Gary Flood, Grendy, this one, all of UConn. And I like started a game, and I was like the worst play. Like I was a 17-year-old, and they were all 24, whatever. In that moment, like one of the goalies was like, I want to take you to Austria. And I was like, for what's there? Like sick. Like, to play? I was like, oh. I was like, why? So that was like the first kind of idea. I was like, oh, you can play in Europe. And then, you know, you hold on to that. Like, you're like, kind of don't listen to anybody else, which is good. Like, I didn't want to listen to anybody else. Like, one person told me, that's it. So I just rode with it, and like I guess tried to add things to my game. But you need one person to tell you early enough that you can do it, and then that's kind of all that sticks in the back of your head. And no matter what, like you just have that. Well, he told me I was good, so this guy doesn't know what I'm saying. So like early on, like I had, you know, Rich Nuttall, who was a European coach, never really brought in European football in the conversation, but the seeds were being planted that maybe I can do something outside, like after college. Nothing major, or like at that time it was different, but I was getting better and things were looking good. And all you need is one person to tell you something early enough, and that's it.
Right. So how did
I still think about that guy?
It's amazing.
That's
but
amazing.
You're so right though. It's just like that one comment can stick with you, and it just give you that little confidence boost every time.
And give you the belief, or it allows you to see what you weren't seeing the whole time, even though you're playing the same way. It's like just a different perspective that someone you respect says, and then all of a sudden now, you know, your whole mindset can change. So then how'd you wind up? You went to Germany from there. You graduated from Boston University, and then went right to Germany.
Yeah, I went to graduate. And then
Got it right.
Boston College for my master's. That's what you were confused about, right?
Yes.
There it is.
I went to so I did the Maccabi games, like so that's actually how it happened. Like obviously someone told, but like going into my senior year, I did the Maccabi games, which is like the Jewish Olympics. And we won, and I got player of the tournament. And like the 4 years before, like Benny Failharbour was on the team, John Bornstein, and they didn't win. So like us winning and I was player of the tournament was like, oh, okay, like this actually can happen. And my coach at the time had connections to Eintracht Frankfurt. So I don't know if you actually noticed the picture I put up the other day. It was actually even more full circle. So the coach of the Maccabi games is like my mentor and that's my god, like Preston Goldfarb. He's unbelievable. And another guy that he told me, like, in the second practice, I had like a side volley in a passing pattern. Ball pops up, you just side volleyed over, and everybody's like, oh. And the coach was like, have you ever thought about playing in Germany? And I was like, no. And they were like, he's like, I could get you over to Eintracht Frankfurt. And I was like, what do you mean? And then another idea was in my head, and another idea. And I was like, oh, so he likes me and this is working. And then like the tournament went on and I was doing well, and like things just started to happen. Like even little small opportunities start, people talking to me. We were winning. That was never happened. Not major notoriety, but just ideas, and your brain starts moving. Then I went to a tournament in Italy where I kind of got like my first taste of reality after it, but also on more notoriety. I played really well, and like our PDL team took a trip to Italy, and we played a bunch of local teams, and I did well there as well. And I ended up getting a trial at Carpi, which is Serie B. It was a big stunt, but I was there with the kind of an idea, and I was close, and I saw it, and that I'll never forget. And then it was from there, I was like, well, I'm never gonna leave. I have to be here. Like just from that Israel trip, it worked. Then I went to Italy. It started really working. I started busting asses. Like I was like, oh, this works. And from there, like I went back to college, and like things started to happen. I was like ready to go to a trial in January. Like I was already ready to go out. The season of college was just the formality. I was like I was just getting ready to get out.
Okay, yeah.
Then I headed over to Italy. I realized then a little bit about the football world, how snaky it can be. Then ended up in after that, I went to Germany with Eintracht Frankfurt II. I saw the best side of football, and I was going to sign there for the summer, but the team folded because some teams got rid of their second team. So I was at Eintracht Frankfurt II for 2 weeks. It was the most eye-opening experience, like the most beautiful thing. Like I couldn't believe it, and I didn't know how amazing it was, because like I remember I was there and I used all the leverage. I called up every agent. I was like, yo, I'm at Eintracht Frankfurt II. Like, what's good? Because you have to strike when the iron's hot. So anybody who's listening, like if you're at a club, like strike, like make sure you use your leverage. So I was there and I was like, yo, I was talking to big agents. I was like, I'm here. What can I get? What can you get for me? And I remember that one of the guys, the agents, was asking me like, well, and I asked this question too, how much money do you think you could get? Like, how much money do you want right now? And I was like, he's like, because I think you can get like maybe 800 a month. And I was like, yeah, I'm like looking for that like a day. Like, because in my mind, I just came from like Carpi. I was like, that's great. Like 800 a month for what? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I didn't understand what money was, and I didn't understand what Eintracht Frankfurt II would have been the goal for me. But I was like there, and I was kind of doing well in my own way, and I was like, okay, well, like how? And I even asked the sport director, how do I get to the first team? He was looking at me like, are you an idiot? But he entertained me because he was a friend of a friend. I went to the sport director right there after like the second training. I was like, this is cool. Like I'm trying the second team, but like, how do I get, like, if you do well, do you go to the first team? And he was looking at me like, you're an idiot, but I'll entertain this. He's like, yeah, if you do really well, you get a chance. Like, look, but with the German, like, yeah, you're an idiot. Like, you have no chance. Like, just get out of my face. Like, why are you asking me about Eintracht Frankfurt's Bundesliga team? Like I was just young and naive. I didn't know. Yeah. But then I ended up bounced around. I went to Israel for 4 months, stayed there. and things were looking good just with the second division team because I just bounced around. I was 21, so I was like, whatever, bounced around, stayed with like a second division team for 3 months, and then I left for the summer because the season ended, and I was going to sign. Coach left, ended up back in Germany with FCA Darmstadt, this like sixth division team, through an agent, Axel, pretty good American German agent, and he said just stay here for 2 months and I'll get you into Regionalliga. I was like, bet. Literally stayed there for 2 months. I was there, and I went to Zweibrücken. This is a team I signed with in November. I was like so hyped. I went there in November on trial. Team was nice, like everything was sick, and like the coach was a legend. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. By the time January came around and I was going, the team went insolvent. So
oh my god,
all the kind of good players left. Even though I was like, in my head, I knew I made it to the good team, but all the good players left and like brought in a lot of cheap guys to like fill it up. And we ended up doing horrendously. The goalkeeper at the time was Tyler Miller, who's now at Minnesota. So it was like a funny experience. I was like Tyler and this guy Nico Boxall, who's like now plays first league in Finland or like even Norway. He's really good, but the team went insolvent. We had like no money, and it was kind of a joke, but great. I get to play against Kickers off and in front of 9,000 people. What an experience! Like really cool. But yeah, and then just from there, like just kept plugging away because like once I was there and like had okay film, I had a way in. Once I was in, like, and you guys are kind of set for like a little while. In the sense that like you play there, you can get back in. Like if let's say your contract runs out, once you're in one time, you can kind of go on the merry-go-round. In some way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
And then moved on. I mean, like lots of different turns between then and like now, but that was like my first taste to get in.
Sure.
So during this whole thing, you're doing everything yourself? You're making the videos and talking to the teams, or did you have someone that was representing you?
I did a little bit of both. Like, I had agents. Like at that point, I was like in the driver's seat and made some really horrendous decisions. Like
what, if you don't mind?
Like not who. Oh yeah, I mean, so I was with an agent. Oh, glad you asked. So I was at the Axel, and like I remember, I don't even know if we can cut this back. I was like drunk in the back of a cab in New York City, and like Axel texted me. She said like, I got you this. I got like you're good to go to Richmond Kickers. Like the center mid just tore his ACL, USL Championship. I was like, not for me. Like I was like so I was in my head like, oh, I just killed Regionalliga. Like I need to go to third league, or I need to like fucking go to Bundesliga. Like that's how I thought. So I was like, okay, cool, Axel. Like not really for me. And I went with another agent who promised me like Netherlands here and said he can get me into like Alemannia Aachen and all the clubs. He was like all talk, and he was new in the game. So I signed with him. Big mistake. I should just stay with Axel and ran that.
Yeah.
Because like I was already on it. So big thing is stay with who you trust. Stay with who you trust and rather than like just go into the new thing. And I felt like I was in a good position. So I was like, all right, let me try to take a chance and like go to a new guy who's talking really well. And it worked out really poorly. Like I was in limbo and waiting out. Like I had these good offers for like contracts in the meantime, this and that, but I was like, nah, I ain't settling. I'm not settling. And then I kept not settling until there was nothing, and I was screwed in Germany. So I had to like reformulate, reached out to another agent, and then got to Israel. That was like the first time I went to Israel on like I got the contract sent to me. Was one of the highest paid players. If you'd like to know, the next story is even worse.
I mean, if you can tell it, I can't wait.
It's even worse. Yeah, so I got there, and this is another thing for the kids watching. I went there with expectations, and going somewhere with expectations is very dangerous because I went there from my film, and I got signed for my film at the high paid player. So already you got to perform. So I went there and things were going well, but he kind of wasn't like he just maybe didn't see, or he was almost fooled in his mind, even though I wasn't as bad as he thought it was. I was very good, but it was like he was like, oh shit, like I kind of made a mistake. So he made my life miserable, like wanted me to leave, because once I signed the contract, you can't do anything.
Right.
So like he was already pushing me out because my contract was too big. Like the same thing I told you would happen with Altona. Kind of trying to pushing me out, like making my life miserable. 3 other Americans here, and they all ended up leaving. That coach, oh my God, like he on the field, he pushed me, told me I was a piece of shit, made me pay all different positions to make me miserable. He used to humiliate me in practice, like to try to make my life miserable so I would leave. And it ended up working. It worked. I left. I asked for I was like, all right. I was like, Luke Finkelstein, you ever heard of him? He was the pro project, him and Michael Soboff. We were at the same club, and we all had the same problem. We all signed as like the 3 highest paid, and like it kind of didn't work out. So the coach was miserable to us, kicked me out of practice all the time, used to just push me, put his hands on me, got in my face, call me a piece of shit, like in the middle of training to make my life miserable. So I was like, all right, dude, like I see it. And
my God,
also at the time, like I didn't know, like it would have been better if I just stuck it out. I was like, yo, I gotta get out of here. And sometimes people like in these situations know, like they just gotta get out and recharge the batteries. So I had another option when like a 1 league down. Just in the meantime, I was like, fuck that. Like I gotta get out of this country. Like I gotta bounce. Fucked over the agent. So like I burned that bridge and left. And I was like, it's October. Like, I just stuck it out till October. It was kind of playing like left back. He was barely playing me in practice. You know how it, maybe you don't, like, it was pretty miserable. So I left, and then I was a couple months in New York before I found another agent to get me into Germany, back into Germany. That's when I went into Bavaria. Great agent, like great agent. Another favor from the guy, the Maccabi guy. So he got me like in touch with this great agent, second Bundesliga guys, and got me into like a team, Sandhoven. I was either between Sandhoven or Memmingen, and I took the team that was like second place in Oberliga, who just needed win 1 game while I was there, and they would have got promoted. Of course, they lost the rest of the 3. Like, of course they did. All they had to do was win 1 game of like 4 to get promoted in Regionalliga, and I was going to sign as a Regionalliga. I was like, oh, I'm back. No, of course they lose the last 3 and don't get promoted. Like, of course they do. Ended up signing, but I was like super happy because I was a big player on the team rather than just a number. And like
just a better situation, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was like, Memmingen, which was a Regionalliga team, said, all right, you can come, but like cool. Or like Sandhoven was like, we really I want you. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. Came back, second training, broke my ankle, wasn't even insured.
Oh no.
I was in June, broke my ankle in like 6 places, didn't have insurance. The club made me pay for it. I had to end up like, my agent had to find a way for the insurance to cover it, but I didn't have I had no physical therapy, had to rehab my ankle all myself.
Oh my God, dude.
That was 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago. My ankle still has problems.
So let's stop here. This story is, you could do a movie.
Yeah.
So we go back to the Israel story. Like, what would you give advice, or what would you have done differently? Or if someone is in that situation, what would you advise them to do? Like when I don't even know what I would do in that case, where the coach is just treating you terribly and trying to get you to leave the club. I mean, I've seen it on teams that I've been in the past few years, where there's a player that the coach does not want, and like there's just some decisions the coach makes where if you just look at it from the outside, like, why is this person not playing? And it's like, it's not because he's not good enough. It's because there's something between them that we don't know. And I've never been on the other end of that, thankfully, but I've seen it, and it's horrible because it's like, this person can play as well as they can in training. They're not playing no matter what. Like, even if there's no one else to put on, like, they're going to find a reason why they're not going to play.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's disgusting, but it's like, I mean, it's the Mesut Ozil problem at art. Like before, like, it's good that he was paid $350 a week. Like, I'll be miserable. Pay me $350 a week. I'll sit my ass on the bench. Like, I don't care, but like, we're not dealing with that. You're dealing with more of like a person's soul. And I don't even want to get like spiritual like that, but like we don't make enough money to make it okay. Like I can't just go buy Yeezy and like reward myself. You know, like I got to sit home with like that's my life. And that the advice I now knowing like you can't change anything. You might either there's two things like you have to really weigh, and I always talk about this. You have to weigh options so heavily. Like you have to be so careful and knowing like, okay, what can I get out of something, even if it's miserable, or what can I get out of it by leaving, even if it's going to hurt me? Am I going to put myself through that? Because at the end of the day, you're a human. And like, why do you want to be miserable? Like we're not compensated at our level half enough to be miserable.
Right.
Like it's just not that. And there's too many other decisions, but I think it depends where you are in your life, but like, sometimes I think it's great to push through it if you've never played. If you have options, leave. Like there's no winning. You're not going to be a hero and you won't win because people are way too stubborn. People are just like, that's what gets in the way of football, like ego. If you can like, you're not going to win against a coach or a sport director or an owner. Like you won't. They will lose. They'll get fired before you win. They're just too stubborn. Burkan still doesn't have a job. Why? Because his ego couldn't handle that. Like, what is that going to do? Like, I wasn't going to convince him of what the situation. You got to go. Like, it was, and sometimes you can, but the thing, maybe advice is like, catch it before it gets too bad. Like,
so how do you think you could have gone about it differently?
I could have been communication with your coach is the most important thing you can have if you are in that position, especially if you're coming in with expectation. Communication with the coach, because a lot of times they don't know exactly what you're going through. Like you might look like you're playing poorly, but you're being really brave because you're feeling sick, or you have nagging injuries you don't want to talk about, or like this is completely new and you might need it's okay to need 2 weeks to get comfortable. Like that's not foreign.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's
get it before the side eyes happen, before you notice the coach acting differently. Because you come in and everybody knows you have the feeling of like the coach has your back, the feeling he talks to you first, he does this. Once you start to sense they go away, like talk to the coach, like start the conversation. Always open line of communication. Like you have to have an open line because there's the game of telephone in soccer is the most disgusting thing. Like you tell your agent to talk to your coach to talk. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Own the message, the honesty isn't coming from the right place. So like always just open line of communication with your coach. I think like to smooth over problems. Cause like before they become stubborn egomaniacs, they are humans. Like they have family, like they're humans. A lot of them parents. So if you catch it before it becomes like, a stare down, you can work through it.
Right.
And like that's usually like how it can work, but there's sometimes like people are like, nah, I'm kind of good.
Yeah, it's great advice, trying to nip it in the butt before it happens. And also you made a really good point in that long-winded story that was literally filled with gold, like the agent part, where you said you went with a new agent that was promising you everything, but maybe the agent that you had already would have been better. Like almost a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It's like there's always going to be agents, especially the higher level you play at. There's going to be more and more agents sliding to your DM saying, hey, I can get you this, and this. But can you trust this person? Can you trust their word? And trust, especially with agents, it goes a long way, because you sign with this agent and actually you find out he's never done this before. He might have phone numbers of people, but it doesn't mean they're going to listen to him. There doesn't mean that some agents, they make a phone call, say, I have a good player, and they can walk right into the team, no problem. Some agents, they have a phone number, but they've never spoken to the coach. Doesn't mean anything. Oh, look at this list of numbers I have. Like that's an immediate sign, like, okay. And do you have a relationship with this person, or do you just have a phone number? And like for people out there, there's always agents sending messages, and you just have to see through it, because a lot of them are just empty promises, and some of them are starting out, and even if they have contacts, it doesn't mean they have a relationship with the club or the coach.
Oh, 100%. It's all about that trust. And like a big thing is trusting yourself. Like if someone's promising you Bundesliga and you're not Bundesliga, like you shouldn't hear that. So a big part of it, like a theme of it, is like really knowing your value. Like if you really know you're good enough to be playing and you're not, that's a good thing to know. But if you also know, like, this ain't it for me. Like, I'm not playing very well, or this is like a little above my show. Like, I'm not ready. Maybe I'm coming off an injury. You have to know who you are and what you can do. So like that the one. And from there, if you don't know yourself, you can't judge somebody else. Like if you can't like look at yourself and figure out who you are, how you're supposed to figure out anybody else. So a lot of people like, yeah, exactly. Like most people come with like DMs and like, oh, I look at this picture I had with somebody after training who doesn't know my name. Like,
Yeah.
Just the thumbs up. Yeah.
thumbs up. Like sick, dude. Like,
Yeah.
like everybody has that after the open training. Like,
Yeah.
oh, come here.
Yeah.
But a big part of it too is like, and it's the kind of a problem I see in like Europe and America, and it's kind of slowly getting into Europe. Like when you sign pro at Werder Bremen, for example, you sign a 5-year contract. That's 5 years guaranteed of your money. If you sign like a 5-year deal at the MLS, like they'll cut you after 1 year. Like you don't have to be so invested in the player in America because you'll just get cut. Like you don't have to like know that I have to pay this guy for 5 years. Like you sign, Real Madrid signs a guy, you have to know like this is for 5 years. Well, unless I'm going to sell.
Responsible for this player for 5 years.
This is for 5 years. Same thing in Germany, like the idea of just bouncing around or anything else. You have to be like really sure about what you're going to do with an agent. Like be really sure before just like halfway investing, and then you go to the next way you halfway invested, and the next one you're like be sure, be thorough, and then you can move on. Like know what his intentions are, what he thinks of you, what he thinks of football. Right. Do you see eye to eye with him as a footballer? Like, do you guys both like, does he think Bayern Munich sucks and you think it's good? And you're like, okay, well, I don't know if we can really, like, do you really know what you're doing? Like,
what are their values?
What are your,
just to try and make a quick buck? And
exactly.
Just a product.
And some people, like, you can use that. Like, if you're just in it for a quick buck and they're in it for a quick buck, perfect.
Right.
Match with heaven, right? And that's works for you. But if you're like, I want to do this right. And like, there's so many experiences of everybody doing it right. Mael Korbos, you saw him. He was at Wattenscheid, went to Netherlands, came back to Farrell. Kind of did it the right way. Mm-hmm. He was at Duisburg, and I keep pointing up because second he was up in Duisburg. Like that's up for us.
That's up
upstairs.
Like the elevator, and then
there's Duisburg up there.
So he was there, didn't play, and like did it right. Dropped down to Regionalliga, got his minutes, developed, went out, came back into third league. Right thing to do.
For those of you listening, this was edited really, really well so that you don't notice the transition here. But there was just a 2-minute break because Footwork doesn't pay the bills. So we're on Zoom free. So 40-minute meetings, and that's it. So we're on the second meeting now. Here we go.
Yeah, we should get. I mean, are we Team Whoop here?
Oh,
we are Team Whoop. Let's go.
We got to get.
Evan, we got to get you on a group then. We got to form a group together here.
Oh, I'm just in like the New York soccer one. Like I think there's a random one, and I just look up there. I'm like, yeah, I'm winning, bitches.
Yeah, that's right.
So good. No, but some people like I look at them like, yo, you 6,000 calories. I'm like, what?
6,000 calories,
dude. That's so much.
Oh my!
What are they strapping to their dog?
What is this, Michael Phelps hour?
But like those are the guys who have like 7 meals a day and like live in a hyperbaric chamber. Like that's fine. I don't got that in my locker. Like I just don't.
It's also not what we're doing. We're trying to perform on the football pitch.
Yeah.
So Evin, you've played in Israel now. You were in Italy for a stint, in Germany. Can you speak on the differences of the standards of training, standards of coaching, standards of just gameplay in America and then outside of America and Europe? Because for me and Dylan and I, we for sure can notice it's like you said, you come here and play in the 5th league. It's like, wait, this is the fifth tier in the footballing system, and these players are this good, and like they can't get a chance at the higher level. Like everything I knew is just out the window now.
Oh, I'll give a good story about a kid who's now in New Amsterdam, Owen. Shout out Owen. We had him sent over for football, just like you in a way. And the best thing that ever happened, the hardest thing is like that time before they go when you're explaining, you're going to like the 6th league. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it takes a long time for me to explain it. And it took me a long time to explain to Owen my story, how you can get to Regionalliga, how you can use the leverage and come back and blah, blah, blah. It always it makes sense, but it's people coming from college. They want to play at Freiburg. Like, they want to be at Dortmund. They're like, well, why can't I go to Dortmund? The best thing that ever happened. So Owen went over with 2 other guys, and they were at a team in the 6th League, Desmere Sport. They had a friendly against St. Pauli too. I was so happy. I was like, thank God. You know why? Because I knew what was going to happen. They had the game 8-0. I said, God, thank you, because that will show you right away who you are. And I remember I was like, I couldn't wait to talk to them after because I wanted to see what they said. And like the one who didn't make it, I talked to, he's like, yeah, we lost 8-0, but I think I played pretty well. And I was like, okay, not going to work for you. I get it. That's fine. Like that, you don't see the full picture of you just got touched up 8-0 by St. Pauli too. Like you don't, that's fine. The other 2 are like, wow, okay, like that was different. Like we were playing a different sport. And that's like usually the good way to start the journey. Like once you go in and you dive in and you realize like, okay, like I'm not that good. And that's like the most beautiful thing, because I think you have to go to Europe. Everybody in America doesn't know, like everybody in America is the same. Like they're all kind of good on the ball. They're a little athletic, but they have no brain. Like nobody understands that, like how to play faster, like how football is so much simpler and so much harder than everybody thinks. And you find that out in Germany. Like people are like, you look at guys next to you sometimes on the field, and I'm like, yo, this guy is not going to beat me. No way. And then he just plays 1-2s around you. You can't get near him.
You can't touch him.
He's like, you can't get by him. He's fouling you. You can't foul. You touch him, he goes over. And you're like, that's football. Okay, I get it. There's like a side of it that you don't understand. And usually it all comes down to winning, because like Americans don't know how to win in soccer yet. And Germans know how to win. Like it's just an efficiency. And the standards as far as training go, like everybody in America kind of thinks that like you dribble around cones and that's kind of how you get better. And like, that's not how you get better. The way you get better is a game, but it has to be the right type of game. You're not going to get better in a Sunday league, EPSL league, even anything in Nice, no offense. It's not structured the right way for you to do what you have to do in your room. So like, if you're a center back, unless the game is set up right, you're not really going to get better at center back. You're going to get better at playing bullshit, libero. You're going to play better at being sweeper, but you won't be doing the right movements in the right times to get better. That's why the games in Germany are right. Like if you notice, 5th league is just a little worse than 4th league, which is just a little worse than 3rd league, which is just a little worse than 2nd league, and Bundesliga is the best. It all gets a little better. If you look at like USL is not a worse version of MLS, just like Nice is not a worse version of USL. Like they're not on the same way up. If you watch a 6th league game, it's slow and bad, but they're doing the right thing. Like they're trying to play the right way, and you can analyze it. Like even I go to, the Sunday thing, and everybody goes to Oberliga games on the Sunday. You get your bratwurst and your coffee and you walk around like with all the old, it's beautiful. Like I would just we'd have our game on Saturday, then we'd go Sunday. And the game Oberliga is just a slower Regionalliga. And you just watch it and they're doing the right things and it's an enjoyable game. If you watch like some of these random American games, like I don't even know what they're trying to do. Like I'm watching the game, look at the lines. I'm like, I don't really get the point, but it's exciting. And so kind of the perception of football, like Americans don't realize that like playing one touch is very hard. Like if you playing a first time pass is very hard when it seems like it makes you look easy on the field. Like the ball comes in, you play it first time. That's the hardest thing you can do. Like a ball is kind of bounced and you hit it into the middle. Like that's the hardest thing you do. American thinks like, well, that doesn't look that impressive. They don't see the nuance of it. They don't see the nuance of like what pressure can do, or like, a spacious run, or even just a covering, even just being in the right position. Like they don't value being in the right position at the right time. They're like, well, if you didn't like run by him and do 2 step overs, like, did you even play? And I'm like, well, no, I didn't do that, but I did what the coach said and he really liked it. Like, you know what I mean? That was like that in Germany. It was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, go out and win the ball. And I was like, okay, I'll just go out and win the ball. And I just did my job. The next guy did his job. The guy in front of me did their job, and we all worked together. It wasn't like we're all doing a little of the same. It's like, no, I had my job. He does his job. They do their job.
So true, man.
That's it. I don't have to help you with your job. If I do my job, I'm helping you do your job. And that was and also, but like this at the same time, why it's Americans can't evaluate it. They can't watch a game and say like, well, why is he doing that? And not know that's what the coach told him to do. They think I'm doing that on purpose. Like if you watch my games or watch your games, I watch all whatever. The first question I have to ask, and that's the difference, is what did the coach tell you to do? Are you doing what you're supposed to based on the coach? Because I can't judge the game. The coach might have told you to do that. The coach might tell you to be standing there. The coach might tell you to make these passes that I don't agree with, but I know you're supposed to do it. So you're doing well. That's the difference. Like an American will watch the game and be like, why didn't he turn there? Because he was told not to. If it gets too tight, you lay it off. You're not going to turn there. If it gets too tight, you hook it long. Not like, why didn't he do this? That's not a question that you ask. Like, why didn't he do that? Because you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Their ideas, like philosophies and patterns that are just happen in Germany. And like, it's not really understood in America.
Yeah. I think I really want to come back to that one point that you made though, that just like key difference is in Germany, everyone kind of has a different job, but the jobs come together to get to that common goal. Where like my job as an 8 is different from the other 8s because he may be better at something and I may be better at something. Or just in their philosophy, they may want me to cover more ground defensively and he takes more, runs forward behind the defense where it can get him a little out of position. Like these are the things that you don't really think about as much in American soccer, where it is judged based upon, can even the center back beat the guy and then, make a 60-year-old or 60-yard ball. Like it's just, it's completely different how it's scouted and how it's based upon.
Right.
Yeah. And like, there's smaller things, like even how to analyze a game. Americans can't do that. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't know how to see if a guy's doing well, if they look like they can handle the pressure, if they can do well under pressure, if the game's easy for them. A good example, if Trent Alexander-Arnold, you know how he's like never under pressure. Like he's like really he's never like phased. He's never like, that's how you know the game is too easy for him. He's never under pressure. That's how you look at a player. Like, did the game look easy? Okay, they're good. That's it. If the game looks easy, if they can play the game easy, if they're not under duress, the ball comes to them, they don't need 7 touches to organize their feet. They're just like easy going. They're never really under pressure. They're always playing on their tempo. They're not like a guy with an experienced American who has a guy running at his face will just get rid of the ball instead of like the composure to just handle the pressure. And that's like the difference, like knowing what pressure is. But even on top of that, to piggyback your point, in Germany, every role is except for like the goal scorer is the same. Like I had jobs that were so unglorious. Like we played Lubeck and I had to mark Arslan. You know how embarrassing that is? Like when we're talking the tactic board and he's like, Evan, if he goes take a piss, you go with him. And I'm like I can do more than that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Come on, please.
Yeah, come on, man. Like I could ball, but like that was my job. And that was fine. I was happy with that. Everybody was happy that I was doing that. And they respected that. Right. And it was just as important as the guy who was in right back had to cross the ball. Okay, the goal scorer is different, right? Like they're like the guy who scores the goals is usually a little more important. But everything else had to happen so that he could score the goal. Yeah. So we could win the game. And it was just as important. Like your role to cover ground is just as important as the wingers to beat a guy one-on-one. And everybody knows that. Just like the kit man's job is just as important as the next person's job. And it's respected that way. It's not like we only respect Ronaldo. No, you respect everybody because like they just have a just as important job to help win the game. Right. And from there, okay, if you don't like their job, then it's the coach's problem because he assigns the jobs.
So in America, do you think we're too focused on the guy who scores the goal, the one who has the glory and the one that's doing the step overs, the fancy tricks, instead of celebrating it equally? Everyone did their specific job, even if it's man marking a guy,
Oh, an easy example is that Americans don't understand, the guy who goes out to press the guy, that's where the ball's won, not where they take it long, uncontrolled, and they head it, right? That's not where the ball's won. The ball's won on the pressure. That's first, glory. Like, and my pressing, that's just Champions League. I know that, but like your ball is won where you press, not where, like when you close them down and they kick an uncontrolled long ball and they head it to an easy guy. In America, they compliment the center back. Right. And reality, it's the guy who pressed.
Right.
And that's what they don't understand. Same thing, like
Mhm.
they won't respect the weight of an easy pass in the middle so he could turn, but they respect the guy who turned. And that's the nuances of the game. Like if a center back passes with great weight into the middle and the guy doesn't have to touch the ball, that is the genius. Not the guy
That is the genius. Yeah.
That's the genius,
Yeah.
not the guy who doesn't have to touch the ball and can pass it forward. Anybody can do that.
That's
The
so
hard
true.
part is weight of the guy out in the middle who passes to his right foot so he can turn
Playing
right.
to the correct foot, exactly.
And like
So-
everybody just sees like, oh, great turn. But like, was he really helped by everybody? Was the spacing that of the midfielder who ran away, the guy who ran away to create the space? That's where the play was. The guy who ran away took everything, forward comes in completely unmarked, played to his right foot, and he turns. The forward really didn't do much, right? But he's in great space. Look at that. Everybody ran away. Everybody created space for him. He gets the turn. But in America, they see like, oh, wow, the forward is, he's nice. He's turning in space. Instead of like, well, everybody helped that. Right. Everybody, even the coach who told them to run away. He's the one who got that guy in the position.
That's a great, that's just a great point.
Yeah. Like it seems just in general, like the way you put it like this is like, not that, because obviously there's plenty of Americans that are really intelligent in the game, but as an overall, it's like, even the fans, like you said, when you go to the Oberliga game with a coffee and a bratwurst, like even those old men, some of them, okay, they're thinking in like old German style football, which is just route one, but like they understand the game too. Like they'll applaud that center back passing a ball into a midfielder and it's like a 30-yard pass on the ground. They'll applaud it. In America, no one would like, why was that a good pass?
It's only the end goal in America,
like,
is what it seems like. It's just the end, whatever happens at the last
game,
part.
and they can see the things that are not easy to do and that are done well.
Even like more obvious is the mistakes. Like when if you get the ball passed when you shouldn't get the ball and you lose the ball, in Germany, they know that. You weren't really supposed to get the ball there. You were going to lose the ball. In America, they're like, why did you lose the ball? More like, why did you get that pass? Like, are you in the right position? Or like, were you trying to do the right thing? Or what are you rewarding? In America, the reward system that's what football is, right? It's a reward system. Like, are you rewarding the intention? Are you rewarding the right thing? Or are you rewarding the chip goal? Like, what are you rewarding? Because then nobody really feels good about it, right? But are you rewarding the idea of playing the right way? And sometimes it misses, but you have to reward that. And like not like subbing a guy off because they tried to turn, but are you rewarding turning at the right time? But mostly like the mistakes, it's like when a guy who's covering, who helped out, gets a yellow card because they're like pulled the guy back. In America, like in Germany, they know like you covered for the guy and you saved the play, right? In America,
you had to.
I weren't there earlier. It's like, what, it doesn't look like you saved it, more like it's almost better to not get in the way. It's almost better in America to not try anything because you won't make a mistake. Like if you're trying to help out your teammate and you slide over and you're whatever out of position and you get beat, like you tried because you're out of position, not knowing the accountability, who's really at fault. Like which position is it, the center back or the left back when the ball goes through, like those accountability things. But that's just, bro, people in America really don't know the game.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know how to watch a game.
So do you think it's very important for young athletes, especially if they're not, or especially maybe if they're just in love with the game, in love with learning about the game, to just get out to Europe? Like, how would you say this is really important for most people to try?
I think it's like the only thing you should do if you really play, because it's just like, I don't know, anything. Like if you're into food, you should probably go to France one time, like, and really see how it's done. You should really go to food, and then you can see like from the source. Like if you're, whatever you're into, you should probably go to the source. And like, if you can, and see like, oh, this is what it's about. This is the culture behind it. This is what they're talking about. Because usually you're gonna have a bigger chance of seeing the spectacular, right? You're gonna have, you can have French food in New York and it's amazing, but it's not really the whole culture behind it, right? You're just getting a really expensive chef, putting him in New York and giving him the New York stuff, rather than like, okay, you go into France and everybody's like that. And it's not just a spectacle, and you're eating
a standard.
Yeah, exactly. And you see like, because it's one thing to see just Pulisic alone. It's another thing to see 7 of them on the same field. And like, oh, he's that, to realize sometimes like he's that much better than them. Like sometimes you play against in regional league, you play against a striker or a center back who's a monster. And then you're like, how good is Van Dijk? Like if these guys are this good,
Oh
like,
my
when you
God.
played against Hamburg too, like they have Ambrosius, the guy center back.
Yeah.
the monster,
Mhm.
He was eaten against us. And I was like, yo, how good is Van Dijk? Like how
Yeah.
because Van Dijk is like,
Like
I'm-
what is
and you're like, if this guy's
the
just,
levels?
yeah.
It's levels is right.
And then like, yeah, you obviously also get the chance of playing like randomly against Rio Miyashi in like a league game, or you get to play against Leverkusen, and then you really see it, right? Then you like,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Like, but sometimes even just playing the former good players who are like fat and out of shape and they absolutely dog you, it's the most beautiful thing because it's really humbling. But then you're like, okay, like I get it. I really do get it. And you have a greater appreciation, just
Yeah.
a overall appreciation for soccer if you like go and see how good it is. Because like if you're in America, you never really see how good players can be. You have no idea
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there's a cutoff. There's a cutoff because, like you said, I mean, there's a certain level of talent, but the game awareness and knowledge in Europe is second to none. So why not go learn from it to be the best player you can be? Honestly.
Yeah, and there's nothing like an intense German. It's just so hard. It's like it's like a chess match, but it's not. Sometimes I play football games and you're like, this isn't football. This is just a war. Like you play Havelse and it's a Abstiegskampf. Like that's just you're fighting. Like, but in the right structure,
Right.
and there's so much pressure, and that's where you find out about yourself.
Right.
Not in a game, nothing's gonna happen at the end of it. Nobody gets relegated in here. Go to play a relegation game. And I'm sure we've all played in them.
Yeah.
How intense those are when your owner's right there watching. Like how intense it can be, like when you're playing in a team right around you, and the captain comes up to you and says, before like the week of training, he's like, if we get relegated, none of you guys are going to get a job next year. And like you're like, oh, okay, like it's like that, huh? Because everybody has that conversation with their captain as teams aren't doing well. He'll go around and he'll say, if we get relegated, I'm good. I have a CV. Like you guys aren't going to play Regionalliga again. And everybody's like, looks around and says, oh, he's talking about us, like the scrub, like the guys who are kind of happy to be here, not the CV guys. And then it's a big reality check.
Yeah. It kind of comes back to what you said earlier, is like knowing how to win a game. Like how annoying is it when you get into a game and like you feel you're better than the team, but they just kill the play. They have 10 yellow cards. You can't get any momentum. They don't let you do what your team is good at. And they win. And it's just like they grow up knowing there's a way to win a soccer game, even if you're not the better team. Or when you have a lead, how do you kill the game?
They don't fold if they're being outplayed, because they know all it takes is one chance and let's just hold on. It's just something completely different, especially in these battles. Like it's something it just doesn't compare.
And they're so okay with being the worst team and winning. They're just completely fine with it. Like Americans aren't fine with like, let them have it. We're not better than them, but we can beat them. Like Americans can't like handle that. They want to go out and beat them. Like, no, you don't have to like show them up. You can show them up by getting the 3 points, get your win bonus and go home. That's the way you win. Like you don't win by like beating them on the, like, outplaying them. But just
this is such a great point, because sorry to interrupt, but I just had something too. It was just like, I remember we played a game, Sean, against Haverford in this is to get into the Final Four in our senior year. And one of the guys in Oneonta who played basketball, he's like, wow, soccer's so lit. Like you could be the worst team for 90 minutes and still win. But every other American sport that like I can think of, like right now, basketball, football, baseball, you can't be like the worst team the entire time and still win. You know what I mean? Like this is something that is completely different in soccer.
Yeah. And they're like, it's the whole cultural thing, right? Because you have to be okay in knowing yourself. Like a team, when we were playing Havelse, they knew who they were. They weren't going to try to beat it. They knew exactly who they were. And that was their advantage. Like they knew they could beat us if they do their thing and we try to be outrageous. Like they're waiting for you to fuck up. And that is the thing, like being patient and all that. Like they're waiting. But mostly like, like everybody in Germany, like if they work in a factory, as long as they make their money and they have their happy, like they don't care. Like they're happier people. They're more understanding. Like the garbage man's fine being the garbage man. He's not like, shit, I just can't wait to like hit the lottery, or like I just can't wait to be a millionaire. Like, you know, Americans are like, everybody thinks they should be a millionaire. But like in Germany, everybody's like kind of content who they are. The only country you ask a guy who's like kind of not that great, you're like, he's like, yeah, I'm not good enough. I was like, why don't you try to keep playing? You know how we're always there and they always say, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And you're like, playing. And because to them, they're like, if you're not good enough at this point, you're working. Like you're not doing this.
Yeah.
So they're like so okay with just not being good enough.
Yeah.
And that's like a real thing in soccer. Like you have to be really, you have to be like understanding like that you're not going to be Robert Lewandowski. And if you're okay with that, that's your advantage because you know what you can be.
Yeah. And be good at what you're good at.
Like you're always going to be disappointed. And you just have no chance.
Yeah. And you won't be able to struggle in one of the lower leagues to make it up to a higher league. Like you just won't be able to mentally handle that at all.
Yeah, because you'll never be able to buy into where you are if you're constantly just have your eye on like Strasse. Like you only are thinking about Dortmund, then you won't be able to like live in the now and like, you know, get better. But if you're like, you're content with where you are, like, and you guys are in a great spot, for example, like you content with where you are and like you can within your moment get better. But if you're like always half out the door looking for something else, looking for the better option, you can't then be all in at training and be all in the game. That's why when we were talking about like Lewandowski signing with Bayern halfway through Dortmund, he's so professional, and these Germans are so he's Portuguese, he's Polish, but that they can know they're leaving and still come to work and like they're still like 100% in. That's the rare case. Like that's insane. You know, he knew he was leaving, but still like gave 100% to Dortmund. It's very hard, but mostly you should like really live in the now and like so you can get better and kind of like on your process and on your journey.
Yeah. Now to kind of relate it back to, I mean, you were talking about how when you place players and that you have to tell them they're in the 6th tier. Now working with Football Project and everything, you guys have placed a lot of players throughout the world. Now, how difficult is that to one, convince a player, and then two, to pick the right players that you know will see it out and are in it for the right reasons?
Oh, that is so tough. Like that's the toughest part. The finding a hungry player is easy. Everybody's hungry. Everybody thinks they want to go on trial. Most people just want to go to take the passport picture on their Instagram and a boomerang, and then like put inside the plane, look like they're going out. You know, like they're like take off. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like most people don't really want to go there because it's really not glorious. Where the reality is, it's at first it's not going to be at all pretty and it's going to be miserable. The way it has worked for us is like I didn't mean to do that with the plug, but
he's got the Football Project shirt on. Subtle.
Yeah. No, you know, it was just my posture. I gotta fix the posture.
Yeah.
Of course.
No, so usually my example of my career, whatever that was, is like what can happen and how it could go well. And like a lot of times I send it to the club that I went to, and I'll be like, yeah, obviously it could go really poorly. Of course, it might not work out. You could not play at the 6th. You might not, but you're right now in the place to do well. Like if you do well, you will be seen. Like I can only make that promise. And like you can go up just like I did. It worked for me. Like I'm not different than anybody else. So if it worked for me, it could work for anybody else. And it has happened. Like same guy with Owen. Owen came here. He was in Germany, 6th league for an hour, scored a couple of goals, bounced right up, had an offer at Suter Elba. Like you can do it. And I thought he was going to be a guy. I still think he's going to be in Regionalliga. But the conversations I had with him were probably, if you took them all before he played, was like 4 hours of just convincing and breaking down and convincing, and not like leading him astray or leading anybody astray, but like the reality of who you are. I'm basically like telling you like, listen, I like you as a player, but once you go there, you're going to find out yourself. And like, you know, it's just like, don't worry, you'll see. Don't worry, you'll see. Don't worry, you'll see. I'll give you examples in my head of all the players that came up and this and that. But it's mostly a little bit of trust that a lot of times you can see on paper what I happen to do. I don't want to make it personal, but usually that's the easiest way to explain it. But you need that. And with Owen's case, when they went to Sao Paulo and lost 8-0, it's the best thing that could ever happen. Because then you have the reality in 2 days, rather than like, because sometimes you go to a 6th league club and you might be the best player there. You know, if you go too low, you might be in the wrong reality still. You might be in America. Where you're like, well, I'm way too good for this. Like, get me up. And sometimes, like, it even gets to Oberliga. Like, you're like, okay, I'm still a little too good. And then you take the step up and you're like, all right, yeah, I see. Like, I get it. But sometimes it takes way longer than it should. And most of the time, like, being honest, like a good percentage of the players, it's not really for them, the long grind, but it has worked. COVID really messed a lot of things up. But usually I find in like business, don't you ever find like when you're going to a trendy coffee shop, doesn't like the trendy ass person work there? You're like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah. It fits.
And don't you, like, you as a trendy person, go there, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the trendy coffee place, and you buy the trendy coffee from the trendy coffee person. A lot of times when what you're presenting, you find the people who are kind of for your company. Like, usually that works a little naturally from word of mouth, but we don't get, for example, the guy from NYCFC under 19s who's been pampered their whole life, who just wants Bundesliga. We'll get the down gritty guy who's a little more in tune to grinding for a long time. And like an Owen, like even Siobhan, like they're more in tune to like, all right, I'll see this out in whatever way it is, because just they know who we are. We kind of have an idea of where it usually works. There's sometimes we're duped, and I mean, there's sometimes not like misleading, but it didn't work out on that side. Understandable. But like that conversation is so hard, and it's so beautiful if it happens organically, like you send them in the first day, like, yeah, it ain't working out. Once you hear that, and I'm like, that sucks, but now now we know. Like, if you're like, oh, this isn't a level for you, and we all know. Sometimes that it takes that, because I guess is not subjective, but like it just kind of, it's like it's self-fulfilling. Like, it just, okay, you hear yes their whole life. Sometimes you have to really hear no.
Or you have to feel no. Like, wow, I can't even touch these players and they have the ball and I can't get close enough to them. And then it's like, all right, I'm not here yet. I think that's the best way to see it, is like, look, they're playing in the same position as you on the other side of the field and you can't get near them.
And the more fucked up part about Americans, some people think, but if I was on that team, I would be fine, right? Too, right? And people don't understand you have to earn the right to get in that team. Like, everybody would be fine in Werder Bremen too. They knock the ball. When you play against Werder Bremen too, like, I swear it's better to bring your running shoes. Like, it's better. Like, when they're on, like, what do you bother trying to get the ball? Like, just sit deep and like just go like this, dude. Don't even try. Like, they have their goalkeeper on the halfway line, like chilling, and you don't. But everybody thinks like, yeah, if I was on that team, shit, I'd be knocking it too. And like, you might be, but you have to earn in that. You have to get. Everybody wants to get into. Just like everybody can play it. Not everybody can play at Barcelona. It's a little easier, right? You know, everybody's in beautiful spacing position. You get the right pass. You got to earn the right to.
You got to earn that way, yeah.
You got, and that's kind of the difference of. That's also how you're evaluated too, because there's no mystery, there's no subjectiveness. It's very objective. Like, if you're the top 10 goal scorer in Regionalliga, you will go up and play professional. There is no subjectiveness. Like, you only score goals, but you're really cool. Like, no, you didn't score enough goals.
Oh, but he's really cool.
Yeah, like,
cool guy.
The stocks are like super high. And papers. Like, sign them.
That's
good.
the one.
It's good for the branding.
The one thing that I really feel Germany has been to me than this point, and everyone that I've known, is like, it's like you said, it's objective. Like, if you perform consistently in games, you will move up. Like, you will either go to a better team in the same league, or you'll go up a league, and you'll probably go up a league with maybe a team towards the bottom of the table. You play well with them, you're going to go up to a better team in that league. Do that again, you go up. It's like, it's very simple. Of course, there's a little bit of luck, and with visas, and you can only have a few foreign players. There's other things involved, but like, if you just perform, you can work your way up. Like, it doesn't matter what your CV is. Like, once you start in a place, it's like, it just comes down to performance. And like, for me, that's so great, because when you go in America, like, especially with college, it's like, oh, you played at Oneonta? Like, all right, you might as well go home. And it's like getting out of college, there's no opportunity for me. There's nothing. I could play NPSL, but there's nowhere I can go. Not a
And
chance. I
no
can't even
natural growth. You can't even grow with a team. You
No.
couldn't even get NPSL to another league.
Right. Right. So it's like it's a total dead end. But then you come here where okay, I was in Mongolia, but it basically didn't mean anything when I came here. And you play in the Oberliga,
Wild.
play it again.
Wild. Forgot about that for a second.
Look at that. Oh my God.
And it's just like if you perform, you can move up. Like it's as simple as that. Even and people will say, like, oh, you're in the Oberliga, you're not going to move up. But like those are the people that just are content. They're fine working a 9 to 5 and then coming in the evening for training 3 times a week, playing on the weekend. That's their life. But
And they know they're not good enough too. They
Right.
are fine with it. Yeah.
yeah, they're not putting in the effort after hours to like improve themselves. Like they're okay just going to training. They stay fit, like a baseline fitness, and they get to play on the weekends, and it's great. And that's
Yeah,
what like
they did not-
that's
good enough.
their life. But you need to understand that you're not on the same mentality as them. And like there will be a few players on the team that maybe have that other mentality, but like you need to understand the difference and that it's possible. As long as you perform, you will move up in the leagues. Like I
Yeah.
just think the whole system here is super fair in that way.
It's so fair and it's so revealing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough in a lot of ways because there is a major funnel line. Like when you go from, for example, Regional League into third league, like there is just so few spots.
Right.
And like good Regional, like even financially, like Rot-Weiss Essen might pay more than the bottom third league team. So it might be better to be at Rot-Weiss Essen in that for a lot of players. Like most top Regional League teams will pay more than third league, but you're obviously paying to be in third league. I mean, like you're getting that advantage.
Right.
So it's whatever. But the same thing, you see it with your money too. It's so beautifully set up that like you go up and you know that it works out structurally because if you go down, you can ask for more money. And that's natural. It's not like a foreign, like you want more money? Like, yeah, obviously, because I showed you what I could do at a better place. I'm obviously good enough to ask for more money.
Right.
And they get that. And it's like, obviously you don't even have to ask. They'll offer it. That's how
Right.
you know that there's structure. Like if you can go up and take less money or you can go down and take more money.
Yeah.
That is the definition of meritocracy.
Yeah.
It's not like odd.
Sorry, the light bill.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to pay that one.
Let's take the dog out.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
man.
If you can go back to your 17-year-old self, or say 20-year-old self getting out of Boston University,
Mm.
what would you advise your young Evan in terms of making his own path? And I mean, you've had a crazy career up until this point. Like what would be the advice that you would give him?
Like the biggest thing I would say is like, don't take things for granted. Like it's so dumb, but like we talked about having your head in the next place. I always just had my head early on in the next place. And what changed that was really bad injuries. Like when I broke my ankle and I missed a whole year, you realize like, and I didn't even know what I could do next year. Like shit, like maybe I should really appreciate this. Last thing with Altona, when I got it's called Schambinen syndrome or osteitis pubis, like you now playing, like you appreciate it. You appreciate where you are, where you were. Back then, like when I was 20, I was just like trying to get to the hottest place instead of like, let me try to like do this the right way. Cause I was just a New York hothead at that point. Just like, I think I have a talent, you know, people kind of tell me I'm good. Let me take it instead of like, okay, let me do step by step by step. Cause the only thing like, if you do it the right way, it'll work. There is no answer. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like if you do it the right way and you go step by step slowly, when you get out of college, you can make it up there. Yeah. If you do the bouncing around thing, like you can get there, but it won't be secure. Like you'll be going contract to contract. You won't really have like a strong platform to build on. Because if you went like 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, like if by the 3rd, like it doesn't work, you can still have 4th, like you still had a good resume instead of like half a year here, half a year here, half a year here, half a year here. And people are like, well, who is this player? They don't have a full story on you.
Right.
You always have to explain yourself and you always have to like go into a trial and do well rather than like having a strong flow of development. You have a lot of games to go on. But the biggest, another thing is like you're playing as many games as you can because that's the only way you'll get better. and good game. And like, don't settle for like, people want to reach when they're young to like, I want to get to Manchester United. But you don't know, like if you're at 18, for example, and you got lucky and you signed at Manchester United, you won't play for Manchester United for like 4 years. Just like if you go to Wake Forest and you're not Wake Forest, bro, you will sit on the bench for 3 years. And that is not what you want. That will not get you better.
Yeah.
Like go to a place where you can play and then see what happens. Because that's where your level is, right? That's where you'll find out your level is. If you go to a place where you can't play, you don't know anything about yourself. You haven't been tested. You haven't shown like, all right, just like when we got to Germany, obviously all of us were kind of a little too good for Oberliga. When we got to Regionalliga, that was our level to see. Like, all right, let's see what we're really about. You know, this is like this is where we can show ourselves. This is the testing part. This is where we are. And like get as many games on as that level and see if you can slowly start to bridge up. Because like going like this and then you get a trial at this club, jump up, go back, lose your ties. It'll never work. Yeah. And don't burn bridges. Big thing. Don't burn bridges. Like do things the right way. Like tell people to their face when you want to, if things aren't working out, don't just ghost them. And then like have to like restart a text message chain, like 3 months in advance to tell them that hope they're doing well, to know that like in 3 months, you'll have to ask them a question.
Yeah.
Like just keep things open and be friendly. Like most people, like they'll use their contact as much as they can and then ghost the guy instead of like, and then, okay, in a year, you're going to need me, right? So they start early and they start texting me early and I know the game, but rather than doing that, let's just be open and honest with each other.
Right.
Talk to me from the beginning, or like, I shouldn't have just fucked over so many agents instead of like being honest and, you know, maybe even sacrificing a little bit.
Right.
And then you have those contacts when you don't need them. Like I don't have like, I've been working on helping my friends. A lot of the contacts I lost, I have to like start these annoying conversations like, hey man, like it's been a long time.
It's me again.
How's everything?
I know, yeah.
You just got married, huh? Shit. Didn't say anything either. You know what I mean? Like, congrats. Fuck. You know,
You
like,
sound all too familiar.
you know, like then you have to rework it and you have to get back on gravel ground, do a favor for them and then ask, okay, good. Instead of like just keeping it kind of open. And then all of a sudden when it comes around, then it's fair, or you get the opportunity, you get the favor or not, but don't like just fuck people off, because in this game, everybody's, I'm not just saying an asset, but like it should be a better community instead of like, I got my shit, good luck. Like, I got me, like, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Back. You're going to end up back down there. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know who will help you.
It can be a quick fall coaches.
Too. Oh the quickest of quick.
Like you can get there quick and you can fall really quick, just as quick.
Oh my! And you can find yourself like needing that contact again. Like so many agents that even now, like in the position without a club, I'm like, oh, I really wish I did. There's so many agents I have in my phone, just like those contacts that you're like, I wish I could just text this guy easily. And
hey, how you doing?
Yeah. Like you start liking their pictures on Instagram.
That's the first part. Start slow.
You gotta baby steps. Then you just
gotta see my name. He's gotta see my name a little bit.
And you start commenting on their stories.
Yeah. Fire. Yeah, fire emojis. Nothing. No words yet. It's a system. We've all been there.
Yeah, like another big thing for the 17-year-old is like build as much leverage as you can, but the right way. Like don't blackmail people, but like a good leverage for people is to get better. Like if you get really good, that's your leverage. Yeah. If you make contacts, that's your leverage. Make friends, not contacts as like people you can use, but like be friendly. When you go like be friendly.
Because everyone's a connect at the end of the day.
Might become a coach. That player you're playing with who's our age, he's gonna turn into something, right? Or he's gonna go to another team.
Right.
Might need him.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. And I mean, it happened with me. Like coaches from other teams will vet you through your teammates. They know your teammate. They give him a call. Hey, how is this player? Like, I know he can play, but how is he as a person? And if they say you're a terrible guy, well, you just lost a contract that you'll never know about.
Sorry.
And, I mean, that's the reality of it. And it happens.
I've been on like BSV rated. And when I went there, the coach already saw my film and knew who I was. It was just to see if I got along with the guys. Like if you came in there and I was a dickhead, like that would have been it. But you come in, you make some jokes and like people like you, like that's good. That's like what they more look for. Like, are you gonna be okay with the team? Are you okay with the dynamic? Because sometimes you'll go to these like farm teams and like that's not it. Like for example, Drochtersen, like I would not fit in at Drochtersen. Like they're just on a different wavelength than I am. You could fit in like and I could work it, you know, and it makes sense. But there are teams that like that's their type of player or whatever, the types of Germany, even like Bavaria, like you gotta obviously adapt and like not do your best to fit in, but just do your best to be friendly to the people. Like, yo, you are in the middle of nowhere. And like, in reality,
they're all you got.
Exactly.
They're all you have.
All right. So we're back to it. Evan reminded us this is The Place Is Right. This is our fun game. So cue that music. That'll be on the edited version. You'll hear that, up there in Germany. All right. So we're going to ask best something, and you just got to tell us which place that you've been in. Israel, you've been in Germany, different parts of Germany. So it could be America too, maybe for some of these, but we'll start with best night out.
Berlin. And it's not even
Berlin?
close. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sean and I know that too.
Everything I thought, my boy, Kid Super, like the
yeah. I know that I follow him. His stuff is just crazy.
Yeah, he took
so sick.
He took me and Toby and my friend Danny out in Berlin for Jägermeister. Like he's sponsored by Jägermeister, and they took us out. And it's everything you exactly think of when you think of a nightclub in Berlin. Like we were all just facing the DJ, and it was like just and we were just like bobbing our heads, kind of misty, smoke, deep house. And I was like, they put a thing over our cameras of our phone, just kind of run down in a dungeon. I was like,
that's that famous club in Berlin too, isn't it?
Berghain.
Yeah,
Did you go to Berghain?
No, I never, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
People look that up. That is another that Berghain is what Berlin, like that is just like next up. We went to a club there too, and it was like we were just riding around on mopeds all day, so we were beat, and it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we were like, all right, dude, let's just go. Like the music wasn't that loud, and like it's kind of empty, and all of a sudden, like 3:15, volume up, you can't hear yourself speak. The people come in, and it's like, oh, we can't leave now. It's like
you definitely
this is what we waited for, but it didn't happen until 3:30. And then
there was also a 60-year-old man who was doing the same dance move for like at least 2-3 hours, and I feel like he might have been there for a few years. Like he just didn't leave.
This guy, he has long white hair down to his shoulders. Everyone's facing the DJ. He's standing in front of the DJ booth facing the crowd. And he's just doing this.
No, that is Berlin though. Like,
but that is it.
They're open for 72 hours straight. Like, so they don't close over the weekend.
It's open Thursday to Sunday.
Insane. I mean,
that's insane.
What a crazy thought. And like, so the idea of Berghain, the guy in the front says "Heute nicht," like, just like comes in crazy. It's like New York. The guy just looks at you and says, "Yeah, not today." Like, just looks at you, just like the guy in the front of the dungeon.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No reason.
It's just crazy.
Could be anything.
Yeah.
So then we kind of piggyback off that. Most interesting social custom.
Social custom? Like, give me one that you were thinking, because I just have to think in my head.
So in Mongolia, if you accidentally kick someone's shoe, even if it's a stranger, like you bumped into someone and you kick their shoe, you got to shake their hand, and you don't say a word. You just shake each other's hand. That's it.
Like not now though, right?
I mean, I don't know how they do it now.
Just go.
Yeah.
I gotta think about it. Social custom. The social customs of Spain are really interesting. They're not crazy, and I'll think of one of that. Like the idea that Spain maximizes hours that of the day is crazy. Like they don't like the hour from like 10 to 12. In reality, what is the point of that? It doesn't, like, those hours don't make sense. So they just eliminated those. They'd rather spend those 2 hours in the night, good hours. So like they nap during those hours and like stay fresh, because those like what even happens between 12? Like, and they want it. That's why they eat dinner so late, because those are better hours of the night. 9 to 11 is a better time. I really
Interesting point.
appreciate that. Like, Spain's like, yeah, we don't want those whack hours. Like those are
Between
that's
breakfast, lunch, we don't need it.
yeah,
Skip it.
yeah, skip it and they go to there. Germany.
All right, I like that. I like that though. That's like,
Unique.
I mean, that's Spain in general. It's just like, especially those Southern European. It's just like, yeah, we'll eat at 10. Like, what's it to you?
Yeah, because they're just like their only goal is to enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the only
yeah,
goal
yeah.
of having the day is to enjoy the day. So
I
like
love that too.
wasting the hours in the morning, like I mean, Germany just it's a funny thing when you wake up in the morning in Germany, you see gray, you're like, yeah, I might as well work. Like, what the fuck is the point, right? Like,
Exactly.
right?
God
It
damn.
looks miserable. Like, might as well just work hard, right?
Yeah.
But when
I'm
you're
not gonna go outside.
yeah, when you look out in Spain and sunny, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna not work today, and I'm gonna enjoy
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
exactly-
good
How about bang for buck?
bang for buck.
Yeah, like where's your money getting spent? Where's your dollar the most, and where
in Prague. Oh my God, that place is the cheapest place. Like I mean, obviously the beer's like dirt cheap, but what you can get with $5 is insane. Like you're eating lunch with like a large drink, and like you want the hash browns on the side, you can get them. Like that's $5 right there. Whatever. Like that's easy. The beer's like even cheaper than in Germany, and just like the lifestyle, like what I mean, Kylie lived there when she was in Sparta, and like what $20 got, like how nice that was. Oh my God. That's you were living in good with if you had €1,000 a month, like you were living good.
It's on the place to visit for that. I mean, obviously it's a dope place, but also it's like you can just get so much. Same with like Croatia, same idea from what I've heard. Have you been there?
No, but I thought we were gonna get some Croatian
insight? I want one day I'm there.
Dylan just ran away quick to take some notes or something.
I was out to Croatia real quick.
Just marked it on his map. 1,000 crowns.
And like the cool thing about when you're dealing with Monopoly money, I fuck with my like you'll get like there's a 10,000, there's at least 1,000 note. So like you think you're living large because like you'll have it was at 12 to 1. So it was 12 to 1 as you get like your 12 not shekels, 12 Czech crowns, $1. Like you were living good. Like you had wads. It felt good. Like when you have like that 10,000 note, like and it's like pretty money. Like I love a place with pretty money. Like
hey,
that's
man,
like
you got to get to Mongolia. It's 20,000 bills there. $20,000, 20,000 toker bills.
Is it pretty money though? I could just picture it being like just Genghis Khan in different sizes.
Yeah, so every bill's a different color, like the euro, and then it's a picture of him or his siblings, basically.
Did you see the new British notes
in Mongolia?
No, the UK British.
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen him.
Hologram, like they made it so like I get it, like you're making it so you don't counterfeit, but that's next level. Like holograms, like the middle is plastic, outside like it's crazy.
I mean, hey, they have a queen still, so I get it.
Wild.
Maybe not for long. What we got next, Sean?
Best tourist attraction.
Tourist attraction. Let me think. Tourist attraction. Where have I been? I mean, if you're in Israel and you see like the Western Wall for the first time and you see like everybody gathered around, it's the most incredible thing. Like some of the Israel's like history and like what you realize, like there's a part it's called the Via de la Rosa, which goes down a hill. It's I guess where Jesus walked before he died or whatever. And there's like a place where he put his finger, and like there's a giant hole because everybody puts their finger there on the stone. Like when they walked by, like he touched his finger. Like we are Anfield to touch it. There's like a little piece of like stone where he like grazed his finger, and like there's a huge hole because everybody grazes their finger there now. And like what this worship, like that's so crazy. I was like living in Nazareth, Nazareth Elite, and like you go to like Jesus of Nazareth. Like of course we were Jesus from here. I was like, all right, we out. Like let's see.
Maybe this coach isn't that bad.
No, Israel's like I've been fucked over so badly in Israel, and I can't wait to go back because it's just so enticing. It's like
so much history too.
I've heard such great things.
Oh my God, it's the most nightlife there. I got this tattoo in a nightclub in Israel, in a like
Wow.
outdoor, you know, like
Sold.
a beach nightclub, and like it's
Sold.
yeah, I got a tattoo and on the beach, great techno music. Oh my word, great! That's an unbelievable life spot.
Okay.
Like, you got to get out there. And the place, the small country mentality, football's horrendous. Like the first question they ask you, like hilarious. Like the average passerby, you know how they say like, "What are you doing here in Germany?" They'll say like,
Mhm.
"Are you good?" And you know how hard of a question how loaded a question.
It's
Are
the
you
worst
good?
question.
You're like, "Are you good?" And like, how am I supposed to answer that?
Yeah.
Like, I hope, I really hope, I really,
Yeah,
really hope.
I hope I am.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, I don't know how to answer that. Everybody asks you that, but they're like tourist attraction, like seeing the Western Walls. Oh my God! Like
Can't wait now.
everybody care about it, how like protected it is. It's
Hmm.
wild. That was a wild experience. But most things in Israel are wild. Like
Mm.
even being in the Dead Sea, or being in Haifa and you look across and you see like Lebanon. I'm probably fucking up the geography. It could be another country,
Mhm.
but you look across and you see a country that hates you, and
Right.
like they hate your guts, and like then you realize like that they bombed you before, and they always want to bomb you. And not even to make it political, but that's just the real. I was in Israel.
That's the reality of it. Yeah.
I was in Israel while Gaza was shooting bombs in Jerusalem. We were in the middle of the night, and you hear the whatever, and like that was bad. We got sound effects for that one. Like that was a weak one.
We'll get that. We'll get that. Don't worry.
You hear because that means the rockets are coming, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
where are we going? Like, and everybody was
Yeah.
like, yeah, they'll shoot the shit down. Like, don't worry.
He's
I was
trying
like,
to. He's trying to just man, finish the tattoo.
and Drew's like, I was like, yo, are we gonna die? Like, I was like panicking. You heard the sirens. Everybody knew about the sirens. I was like, everybody was nervous. And then like you look around and everybody's like not moving. And I was like, why is nobody moving? They're like, yeah, dude, just shoot it down. They'll shoot the muscles down. You don't gotta worry. I was like, yo, you're okay with like this chaos, huh? Like, I was like, this is how you live. You're not stressed.
Crazy.
This is normalcy. So like,
Mhm.
that was kind of crazy being like, when they're shooting the missiles down, they'll just shoot them down. I was like, yeah, I hope. Like, do they miss? Like,
Or we're dead.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, what's up, dog?
That's crazy.
Evan, what about best food?
Israel, for sure. Like,
Okay. I'm going. I'm
and
there.
like, it's crazy. Another thing, like, kind of going back to, you know how German football doesn't look that good sometimes, but it's amazing. Like, the best food you can get in Israel is out of a restaurant that looks like a bathroom. Like, you want it to look as nasty and like authentic and like dirty as possible. And that is where you will get the best hummus you'll ever had for nothing. Like, you want that like big that old mom coming out with the big thing and like kind of slipping
I
everywhere.
can see it.
You know,
I
like
can see it.
is
Painted
authentic.
a
Like,
vivid picture.
in a cave, like, you know, you go down into the bad neighborhoods. Like, I went down to like the Arab neighborhoods where I wasn't supposed to be, and you will get the best food you will ever have. Like,
Yeah.
just made, they say like hummus is made with love, and like the best hummus is made with love, and that's like a real thing. Like, you want it to be made from like someone who's been making it for 65 years and has like great grandchildren.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So then, right off that, nicest people.
Oof.
It's always
This
a
is a good
tough
one.
question.
Yeah, because I mean, people are just fucked up in general. But I would. Okay, so nice is such an interesting word for me. Like, and like I've gotten over nice. But I'll say like, because Israel and New York are very similar. Like, in New York, you'll get the hottest of warm and the coldest of cold of human beings. You know, you'll get
Yeah.
either they're amazing or they're the most fucked up people. Same with Israel. Like, they will love you once they break in, you know, same thing. But like Germany, it's all very understood. And it's not like Prague, the people are horrendous. They're horrendous people. It's depressing. They're atheists. Like, it's just a horrendous group of people. The Germans, though, like in some areas, like in Bavaria, like they were so nice to me because they just, I don't know, that Bavarian, like they just enjoyed life. They biked, like what they did on the weekends, so they biked 700 kilometers, you know, like that was their thing. And they just liked the weekends just to be in the weekends, even though they were, their day to day was kind of miserable, but they were like such happy people because they were like just appreciating whatever. So probably them, which is odd because
That's not the answer I was expecting, but that's
what you
what I
expecting?
love. I don't know, maybe Spain or something.
they're not like, right. Like you would, I guess maybe I think too much, but like they're nice, but like they're snakes. They're not like they're fake. They're not nice people. Like
I know what you mean by that. They come off friendly, but
they're not
like that. I mean, I haven't been to Bavaria, but like in northern Germany, it's like a thing. Like people, they're not cold. They just take a while to warm up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on who it is, but it's like,
gas,
like especially like
cooking
you know
with
the cashier at the grocery store, like they're in business. Like they say hello, they scan your items, they ask you if you're paying card or cash, and that's it. There's no, oh, hey, you know, how's your day going? Oh, it's all right, you know, blah blah. Like no. But like,
do you want to
care about your day?
Though, if it's not, if it's business understood, if it's like understood culturally, do you want a conversation there, or do you want a conversation where it should be? That's my only.
Yeah, no, it's a great point.
If everybody's on the page of like that's where we don't talk, then I also don't want to talk to someone who doesn't want to talk to me.
I mean, you know, I don't want to talk in that situation.
This is the cash
because the two people behind me are giving me the death stare because it's taking me a while to pull my credit card out.
Up like change? Are you going like, how much we got? 165? I got 65 on.
Unfortunately for me, when someone does that in front of me, I can feel my heart rate going up. Like, come on, you got to bring out every penny.
Oh, dude, and they don't have bags. Like they'll just do it by hand into the cart. It'll take forever. They're using their Aldi coupons. Good for them. I mean, they're winning.
Oh man, it's such a vivid picture. It happened yesterday.
Yeah,
happens every time.
They got the big one. Like they got the open, like the twofold, and they're like in there looking for the copper shits. Like there you go.
How much did you say?
Oh, 29, das ist 94. Oh, okay. Oh, natürlich. Das ist funny.
Cheers. They love saying goodbye. Nobody loves saying goodbye more than Germans.
Yeah.
He's done.
It's like 7 ways, like on the conversation. Like I get it, dude.
And you always have to take, no matter what your voice is, you got to go up at least 3 levels, 3 keys. I don't know music, but it's up.
I never
with
understood
Duisburg
that,
up there, and with the 1,000 crowns, it's up there. All right, man. So, Evin, was a pleasure. Do you know the ending to the podcast?
What is it?
Until next time, keep moving forward, keep learning, make your own path. But I mean, that's what we say.
So basically, you just have to say "make your own path" at the end. That's it. That's all
you just say.
Full hearts.
Say it again.
We're doing like clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose. Don't tell me neither of you are Friday Night Lights guys.
No.
I might have to go watch the show or the movie. So I think I saw the first few episodes of the show in college, and I just never came back to it.
You never came back to.
I never started.
You came back to Coach Taylor. You left.
I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. Something happened there.
You left Riggins out to die. This is what you're saying. You left
apparently. Old Riggins.
I'm coming back. I swear.
All right. So
one day.
What do I gotta say?
So you're just gonna say make your own path when we give you the cue, and you'll know when we give you the cue.
All right.
Yeah, you'll know.
Wrap it up again.
Yeah. No, we're just gonna go right now. Until next time.
Keep moving forward.
Keep learning.
Make your own path.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you, Evin.
Footwork is sponsored by ourselves. Also, Kong Fitness and Merchant Designs, baby. Follow us on Instagram at footwork_podcast. Twitter is at Footwork Podcast. YouTube and Facebook, just check out Footwork Podcast, search it. Email us if you need anything, any questions at footworkpodcast@gmail.com. And remember, plug, pass. Tell your parents, Amazon delivery guy, mailman, I don't know who, just tell them. Like, subscribe, review, all of it helps. Danke.